we're going to start in just a moment. So if you haven't already silenced your cell phones, this would be a good time to do that. And I also want to mention that following our service here, we'll proceed to Glendale Cemetery for graveside service. And as always, if you want to join the procession, just put on your blinking lights and you can follow the other cars, the lead cars. After graveside at Glendale, we'll return here for a meal of consolation, and there will be a Shiva service tonight at 7 o'clock at Cedar Ridge, 8950 Coachlight Drive. And I know that that address will be available elsewhere. Shiviti, Shiviti, Shiviti Adonai, lenegdi tamid. Shiviti, Shiviti, Shiviti Adonai, lenegdi tamid. I've set the eternal always before me. God is at my side, I shall not be moved. Therefore does my heart exult and my soul rejoice. My being is secure, for you will not abandon me in death or let your faithful ones see destruction. You show me the path of life. Your presence brings fullness of joy. Enduring happiness is your gift. Adonai ma'adam v'tedehu ben enosh v'techashvehu. God, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you're mindful of us? We're like a breath. Our days are like a passing shadow. We come and go like grass, which in the morning shoots up renewed, and in the evening fades and withers. You cause us to turn to dust, saying, return, O mortal creatures. Would that we were wise, that we understood where we're going. For when we die, we carry nothing away. Our glory does not accompany us. Mark the wholehearted and behold the upright. They shall have peace. In your handout, on the inside at the top, the 23rd Psalm, please read with me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I'm going to share some words about Gwen from three different sources. One is thoughts that were prepared by Mindy Nussbaum-Bell. Where's Mindy? There you are. Mindy, thank you for preparing this. Mindy prepared this from her conversations with Harry. And then I'm going to share with you words written by Marilyn Nussbaum. Both Mindy and Marilyn are really friends who are family. And then I'm going to invite up niece and nephew Danny and Brad and cousin David to share some words of their own about Gwen. So this is eulogy of Gwendolyn Joyce Greiger, as written by Mindy. Gwendolyn Joyce Greiger, daughter of Meyer and Rose Rosen, was born in Cedar Rapids on August 5th, 1940. She enjoyed her youth among extended family and a close-knit group of friends. If Gwen hadn't had the sense of adventure and independence that she had, she wouldn't have left home and certainly would not have met Harry, her soulmate and love of her life. After completing her bachelor's degree at University of Iowa, Gwen's independent streak drew her from Cedar Rapids to Kenosha, Wisconsin. And there she settled into her first position as a Spanish and English teacher. She was a devoted daughter, and so she returned to Cedar Rapids to provide care for her mother, who was diagnosed with breast cancer. For a decade, Gwen's mother's health vacillated between recovery, remission, and setbacks. Gwen always returned to Cedar Rapids during those setbacks and put her own life and career on hold. So after several career changes and moves, Gwen finally landed in Des Moines. And it was in Des Moines where Gwen met Harry. You might think the reason Gwen met Harry was Beshert. It was the destiny of finding her soulmate. Well, actually, it was a little bit of Beshert and a little bit of a push from a Jewish mother. Because before meeting Gwen, Harry's long-distance relationship with a woman had ended, thanks to some news in the U.S. mail. And Harry's mother heard from a friend that an eligible young Jewish woman had moved to Des Moines. So Harry was reluctant to date because of his breakup, but with his mother's daily nagging, reminders to call the Rosen girl, Harry finally gave in and asked Gwen on a date. So, among the many things that he learned, Harry learned from Gwen that her former boyfriend, a University of Iowa athlete, rode a motorcycle. So, in Harry's eyes, he was dating a biker chick. Pretty soon, the time was right for Gwen to introduce Harry to her parents. But she had a warning for Harry. It wasn't a warning to mind his manners or remember to bring flowers. It was to be wary of her mother's brownies. Gwen's mother was a wonderful cook and baker, just as Gwen would become later in life. And the brownies were decadent, chocolatey, just simply irresistible. And Harry recounts that he consumed about half of the brownies during the visit and ate the other half after he got back to Des Moines. The trip, and maybe the brownies, sealed the deal, and as Harry has said with conviction, the best decision I ever made was to propose to Gwen. I'm glad she said yes. Of course, as Harry tells it, she did have to think about it. As she said, I need to think about it. Yes. In 1971, they married in Cedar Rapids and then returned to Des Moines as newlyweds. Their lives were charmed. They made memories with new friends, played bridge together, vacationed in Door County, Wisconsin. They simply enjoyed each other's company. And Harry loved Gwen's cooking, recently cavelling. In 53 years of marriage, Gwen never made a bad meal. But their lives were thrown into survival mode when Gwen was diagnosed with breast cancer at age 39. And by this time, both of their mothers' lives had been shortened by breast cancer. But ever the supportive wife, Gwen tried to ease Harry's concerns about her health. She told him to stop worrying. Cancer wouldn't win because she was too mean to die. She fought it and recovered. Not just a fighter, but competitive and willing to take chances, Gwen loved the thrill of victory. She was a formidable player in bridge, mahjong, Scrabble, and many different card games. At one time, she thought maybe she'd take up golf, and the idea was to join Harry on the golf courses when they vacationed. But Harry convinced her that being athletically uncoordinated and competitive was not a good recipe for enjoying golf. And as much as Gwen loved her competitive games, she loved reading. She used to say that she welcomed gray skies and rainy days because it meant she could spend the day reading. She really favored romance novels and mysteries. Mysteries suited her particularly well because of her competitive nature, probably had her trying to figure out who done it in the first chapter. After Gwen's retirement in 1996, she applied her drive for success to the Senior Life Center's annual fundraising gala and to Tifereth Israel's Women's League. She was an active and dedicated member of Women's League. She multitasked by serving simultaneously as Torah Fund Chair and as membership chair. She never shied away from helping out, and even more importantly, she encouraged others to get involved. The last few years were tough for Gwen and Harry as Gwen fought another cancer battle and declining health. With a permanent move into skilled care last fall, Gwen quietly accepted her circumstances. Though life was far from ideal, she nonetheless welcomed visitors with her warm smile and conversation. She continued to play games with friends, devoured books, and, ever the competitor, she even beat Harry at Scrabble the evening before her unexpected passing. Gwen will be lovingly remembered by the many whose lives she touched. May her memory be a blessing. And these words were written by Mindy Nussbaum-Bell. I cannot remember a time when Gwen and Harry weren't a part of my life or my family's life. No, they're not related by blood, marriage, or even 23andMe. Our families became related by sharing and supporting each other's more than 50 years of peaks and valleys, and together enjoying outings, Jewish and secular celebrations, and milestone events. As would be expected, Gwen and Harry grace our family photo albums as a constant presence through the decades. 3 generations of my family have fond recollections of Gwen's cooking, worthy of a segment on the Food Network's The Best Thing I Ever Ate, are Gwen's brownies that were bestowed by us an honorary blue ribbon. The brownies were in a category all their own. They were sinfully chocolate, ooey gooey, buttery, topped with melt-in-your-mouth frosting. There aren't too many foods that are in demand and devoured, whether or not they're at room temperature, frozen, microwaved, or even stale. Rumor has it that Gwen kept the recipe under lock and key, allowing only one known out-of-state family member to receive a copy. Dinners with Harry and Gwen weren't just all about the food, but also about the conversations, sometimes an after-dinner game. Gwen, an avid card and game player, was a good sport when presented with a new game. And after one dinner, the 20-somethings suggested a game of Cards Against Humanity. This is not a game played with ordinary cards, and I was leery of how it would be received by Gwen and Harry. For those unfamiliar with the game, it's a mature audience game where players use cards with pre-printed responses to complete the dealer's fill-in-the-blank card. Well, we all had belly aches from laughing not only at Gwen's answers, but by how unabashedly and all-in Gwen was to win the game. By all our recollections, she mastered it in one evening. Unfortunately, she was not able to introduce it to the ladies' game day at Cedar Ridge. During the COVID lockdowns, we continued to try to have modified traditional holiday celebrations. Never a whiz with electronics, Gwen surprisingly learned how to join Zoom calls, and we remotely celebrated the first COVID holiday apart, Passover 2020. Post-pandemic, Gwen's health deteriorated, and it was difficult for her to join us in our home. The holiday table no longer seemed complete without Harry and Gwen. One way I maintained our shared holiday connection was to fill containers with to-go meals for Harry and Gwen. One of the most endearing compliments Gwen gave me was, "Mindy, you've really come into your own as a cook, and your kasha varnishkas brought me back to my childhood." Nothing pleased me more than to know a meal brought Gwen a fond memory of her youth. With the recent passing of Gwen and other loved ones, our family table will be less crowded and family photos less full. Gwen, know that your Nussbaum, Bell, and Steingard families loved you and you will always be in our hearts and in our thoughts. And lastly, from Marilyn. My friend Gwen. Today, it's difficult to look beyond the sorrow. To say that Gwen was simply a friend wouldn't do justice to the profound impact she had on my life. I'm honored to not only call Gwen my very close friend for 53 years, but to also embrace her as family. A piece of my heart grieves for my friend and confidant. A holiday or family celebration was not complete unless we were celebrating with Gwen and Harry. Gwen always prepared longtime favorites. One of her recipes could not be surpassed. Her extraordinary. They were expected, and best of all, she happily left most of them for Sharon, Mindy, and Steve. We experienced Israel together. Gwen always impressed me as a smart woman, quick, witty, determined. And while shopping in Jerusalem with her, she spotted a necklace that she wanted, and naturally she knew that bargaining was acceptable and expected. Well, between the foreign language and the currency, she didn't realize that she was negotiating against herself and driving the price higher. Harry, Gwen, Sig, and I have often recalled that incident with smiles. About 25 years ago, my dear friend Gwen volunteered to accompany me to University of Iowa hospitals in Iowa City, where my eyes would be dilated. This meant that I could drive there, but could not drive home. So when I handed her the car keys, she confessed that she hadn't driven on the interstate in many years and would rather not drive. We had a good laugh about it, but not until we were safely home. Gwen's life had purpose. With her patience and listening skills, she demonstrated her sincerity and understanding. Gwen knew who she was and how to play a significant role in life to her satisfaction. She was friend to many, a volunteer, and a truly gracious woman. Gwen has always been there for me and my family in the best and the worst of times. We all know that Harry was the center of her universe and that he was her life and purpose. I hope that the enduring memories will forever sustain us all. I'd like to invite up Gwen's niece, Danny Wynn, and nephew, Brad Ullman, and cousin David Kotak, please, to share some of their thoughts and memories about Gwen.
thank you all for being here today. One thing I can say is that I actually don't recall Aunt Gwen's brownies. I recall something else. So, oh, sorry. On my way here, a friend of mine suggested that I frame my experience with food, or with my Aunt Gwen, just as many of you have just already done. What connection do I have around this? I was immediately transported back to my childhood when my family and I would travel here to Des Moines and visit Uncle Harry and Aunt Gwen. I vividly remember going to their house on Franklin Street, a ranch-style, cozy home that you knew was filled with love and maybe some tchotchkes. I was always fascinated that their house had a sunroom. I can't exactly recall all the color schemes, maybe some yellow and greens, but I just remember that my brother and I would play in the sunroom. I don't even recall going in the backyard, just the sunroom. And it was there that Aunt Gwen would serve the most delicious snacks of sour cream and onion Pringles. A special treat for sure. And maybe it was a special treat for Uncle Harry as well. I just knew that whenever we would visit, we would be guaranteed some Pringles. I was also fortunate enough for several summers to spend a week or so with Aunt Gwen and Uncle Harry during my young teen years. I would take the Amtrak train from Denver to Osceola, where both my aunt and uncle would wait for me patiently. The minute I would get off the train, my first words was always, "I have to pee." That always would get them a good chuckle out of the fact that I would spend a good 12 hours on the train and not leave my seat, not even for a bathroom break. Aunt Gwen was special in making sure that she was creating memorable experiences for my trip out here in Des Moines. And let's be honest, the weather here in the summer is less than desirable. She would always call ahead of time and ask what I wanted to do. And I'm pretty sure that I had the standard teenage answer of, I don't know. So my week was spent with trips to the mall, Uncle Harry's favorite, of course, tell me that I looked good and cool in the multicolored blazer that I chose, trips to the farm feeding animals, and who could forget taking time to admire all the wonderful Beanie Babies that filled their spare bedroom. Pretty sure Aunt Gwen thought that her beloved Beanie Baby collection was going to make her rich. I loved hearing the stories of how she would travel near and far to obtain them. Not quite sure how Uncle Harry felt. I just know that he always supported her and would literally do anything for her. Aunt Gwen is literally the reason why I'm happily married to my love of my life for 25 years. The story goes like this. Years ago, my aunt and uncle were going back to the University of Iowa for a reunion trip for an AE Pie, and on the way there, they reconnected with my now in-laws. The conversation that was told to us was that Aunt Gwen and Uncle Harry reconnected with my in-laws, Bob and Bobby Wynn, and my Aunt Gwen mentioned, hey, my niece lives in Denver, but is currently attending the University of Arizona. And now my mother-in-law says, oh, hey, my son lives in Denver. I can only imagine that light bulb went off in both of their heads. We have an idea. We should connect them together. And long before text messaging, there was actually phone calls. My aunt called my mother and made the same suggestion. Marty, there's someone I want Danny to meet. And I won't bore you with all the details, but Jason and I will be celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary this June. All thanks to Aunt Gwen and Bobby. Aunt Gwen was a lover of books, movies, games, and mall walks. She had a knack for making you feel welcomed and loved and respected. And did you know she also had a spicy side to her? With a monotone voice, she would frequently drop a curse word here and there in such a way that would make you smile and laugh, usually when she was driving, or that one time I was in the car. I'll miss that and everything about my aunt, but I'm comforted that I can carry these memories with me.
Quite have as much here. Hi, my name's Brad. I'm Uncle Gwen and Aunt Harry's nephew. That's what I used to call them when I was little. I was born in Waterloo. We moved around a bit when I was little. We lived with my grandma Bessie in Ottumwa for a while, and then we moved to the Quad Cities, and later in 5th grade we moved to Denver. But when it was time to choose a college, I felt drawn back to Iowa. I think in part because of the happy memories I had of my childhood, memories of my grandma in Ottumwa, and visiting my Aunt Gwen and Uncle Harry in Des Moines. As a kid, I loved going to their house, the first one, the Tudor-style one. I remember how much fun it was to explore. After getting a low 5 from Uncle Harry, give me some skin, I'd be off to roam around. Aunt Gwen had these paintings where the eyes seemed to follow you. They sound creepy, but I thought they were pretty cool. She also had this collection of dolls and these crystal figurines, which cast little rainbows around the room. And when the light just hit them just right. She was always collecting something. Maybe later in life it was the Beanie Babies. I think that rubbed off on me a little bit because I ended up with a few collections of my own. I have a number of hand-blown glass fruit collections, vegetables, and a speculative collection of Legos, which may or may not go up in value. When I was in college at the University of Iowa, Aunt Gwen and Uncle Harry would come to visit me in Iowa City every year to go to a football game. Afterwards, they'd take me out to the Amana colonies for dinner. I think the Oxbow Inn. Aunt Gwen always made sure that we had plenty of fried potatoes. Always asking for more even before we finished the first plate. It was family-style dinner, so there was always plenty to go around. Other times I'd visit them in Des Moines, usually for Thanksgiving, but always on my way from a Colorado, to or from Colorado on many a road trip. When I always arrived, there was always a plate of meats and cheeses from Dahl's Foods, Aunt Gwen's favorite grocery store, waiting for me. She made sure that I was well fed and never left without a batch of her delicious brownies to take with me. More than enough, though. She was always so welcoming and interested what was going on in my life. Moving to Seattle was probably the best thing I could have done for my own career, but it also took me farther away from my Iowa roots. And while I don't miss the summer's weather here, I do miss close to family. Aunt Gwen was kind and bubbly and fun. She did have that naughty streak that Danny had mentioned. But she made sure that everyone around her felt loved for and cared for. She was my favorite aunt, and I'll always be grateful for the warmth and love she brought into my life.
I'm the cousin, David Kotak. As you can see, we're a very small family, but we're a very tight family. And Gwen was very much a part of that. And part of my memory is she became very close to my mom. And my mom was always Aunt Dorothy. She was not just Dorothy from the Harry's side of the family. She was Aunt Dorothy. And these were two very strong women who liked to talk bridge, liked to talk investing, and liked to talk food. And frequently, Harry and Gwen would come to visit my mom and us in Omaha. And as you know, as we've heard, Gwen is a foodie, so she always picked a very good restaurant in Omaha for us to have lunch at. And it was not easy because while she liked interesting food, Harry, on the other hand, had certain dietary restrictions that made many places very difficult to go to. And the waitresses, she would instruct the waitresses on how Harry's food was to be prepared with very strict, while she got everything she wanted with as many flavors as possible. But what I really wanted to tell you about is how an integral part of our family she became after marrying Harry. Harry and my brother were close, 1 year apart, close friends. Marty and I are close because we're one year apart. And so it was a closeness of being in Iowa together that we grew up together. And Gwen and Harry would do anything to travel to be with family. family was critical. And that's why I'm here, because it's a return to the love Harry and Gwen shared with me that I want to share back with them. It was a wonderful time together, and luckily we saw her this fall, and she had lunch with us, talked to us, and then said we had to go because she had a bridge game. Thank you.
Yeah, David, what you said about the difference in the flavor profile of the meals really is very emblematic in a lot of ways. That she wanted to experience the flavors that were out there, and Harry, you really wanted one flavor in your life. That flavor was Gwen. What you said last night, without any hesitation immediately, about Gwen, she was an incredible wife. And what was so incredible, what was so beautiful, is that your relationship was really a relationship of partnership. That neither of you was in charge or leading the other. That you really worked together as equal partners, which is beautiful. And she experienced the world with grasping excitement of wanting all those flavors. And yet, for love of all the flavors, and talking about her and food, what does it always come back to? Harry, you were her brownies. I'll ask everyone to please rise for El Malei Rachamim. El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hametzeh Menucha Nechona, Al Kanfei HaShechina, B'ma'alot Kedoshim Utehorim, Kezohar Harakia, Mazirim, Et Nishmat Golda Ba'Ma'ir Veroz, Shehalcha Le'olama. Ana Ba'al Harachamim, Yastireha Beseter Knafav Le'olamim. Bitzror HaChaim, Et Nishmata, Adonai Hu Nachalata, Ve'anuach B'Shalom Al Mishkava, V'nomar Amen. God, full of mercy, who dwells on high, grant perfect rest beneath the shelter of your presence among the holy and pure who shine as bright as the brightness of the firmament, to the soul of Gwendolyn Joyce Greiger, who has entered eternity. Source of mercy, let her find refuge forever in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen.